Make the ground shake.
here with you. See your face in the crowd, but you don't seem so far away. Nothing between us is empty space, empty space. Even when the music is loud, I'd rather be no other place. Here with you now, here with you now. Here with you now. Here with you. Rather be no other place than here with you now. Place than here with you. I see your face in the crowd, but you don't seem so far away. Nothing between us is empty space, empty space. Even when the music is loud, I'd rather be no other place. Here with you now, here with you now.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds.
Alright, after a little bit of delay there for the matches to begin, we finally get on board here. Hello everyone, and welcome to another great evening of Dota tonight. Tonight's UGC League game is brought to you by the lads from New Meta Media. My name is Sub-Zero, and joining me tonight is my stats man, Mr. On Point himself, Armpit, and he'll be throwing out whatever witty comments he wants in the background. Tonight's match between Irresistible Stallion and Team Slam Dunk is a sweet best of two, finishing my day of exciting Dota action. Having just finished watching the crazy ESL match, there was a Techies combo with the Tusk, and quite hyped and ready after watching Team Secret win that one. So it should be a great night of Dota to watch here for this little best of two. Right off the bat, we see the Quap picked up for the first pick for Team Slam Dunk. Classic ban from the Undying and the Tusk. A lot of people are picking up the Tusk as of late. It seems to dominate a lot of early game presence with the Snowball running in, as well as late game. You can see the Deso being picked up, as well as the Shadow Blade turning into that Silver Edge. It can really control a team fight at the start, as well as just any interesting ganks coming along. On the other side, for Irresistible Stallions, we see the Leshrac and the Gyro being banned out, of course. Those two big names coming out in most bans for first priority for a lot of pro scenes, a lot of amateur scenes. Earthshaker being picked up for Irresistible Stallions as well. So that'll give them a little bit of early stun for the Fissure, as well as a lot of team fight. Depending on how this Earthshaker does, most likely you'll see that in kind of a safe protecting for the farm of Vicari. Generally, he's not going to get his Blink Dagger online that quick, but as always, it depends how an early game kind of goes. On the side for Team Slam Dunk, with the Quap being picked up, I'm going to probably say that will go on their mid for GBPS. I'm just going to call him G for this match. A lot of their carry seems to go on their player Ice9. In the last couple matches that they've played, they've picked up the Leshrac quite a bit, they've picked up Avenge quite a bit, as well as a Clockwork that we see. So with the Leshrac being banned out, I'm more inclined to say that they might actually pick up a Clock as an offlaner to combine with this Earthshaker to get that sweet team fight, as well as if you want to get that lockdown of Quap. With her Blink having a little bit of animation delay, the Clock with the Battery Assault can actually stop her a little bit before she does blink out, so that will secure a kill. However, you don't want to lock everything down. They do pick up the Vengeful Spirit, so that is quite a bit of stun coming up from Irresistible Stallion. So a lot of lane presence and dominance at the early part of the game. Lion being picked up from Team Slam Dunk, so that's their little bit of support. They could be a position 5, could be a P4. Don't quite know yet. I really want to see how this draft progresses. Lion himself does a ton of burst damage, including with the Disable and the Stun. It's obviously a great pickup. We see it a lot from both of these teams, mainly just from Team Slam Dunk. But most teams in the pro and the amateur scene right now are picking up the Lion as that kind of support, as well as you see a lot of Blink Dagger coming out him lately. It's quite a good pickup for him. The Blink Dagger jumping in for the initiation with an Earth Spike, as well as just general escape if he needs to. Most of the time when you have that position 5 support, you kind of just leave him to the dust there and let him die off if there's ever escape or disengage from a team fight. So Lion does do well with the Blink Dagger. Obviously, everybody knows about the Aghanim Scepter with the Finger of Death. It's very destructive, as well as these squishy supports on the side of Earthshaker and Vengeful Spirit. Earthshaker can tank up lately, but that remains to be seen here. Probably will get that Blink Dagger first, obviously, so he's still going to be squishy right off the bat, especially when Lion hits a 6. Dazzle coming out for the bans on the side of Irresistible Stallion, so they don't want any survivability coming out for Team Slam Dunk on what would be, that we've seen before, them pick up a Tinker or even a Spirit Breaker in the last couple of games, which is kind of an unconventional pick. But I mean, it can work out. They would have a ton of loaded stuns for their team fight. Not as much map dominance. All they have is a Spirit Breaker, but they do end up banning that out. So interesting to see that Team Slam Dunk will not be able to pick up that one that they've played in the past. PL and the Shadow Fiend being banned out on the side of Team Slam Dunk. They obviously don't want to go up a lot of that bursty damage, and the minus armor is just destructive. With that Vengeful Spirit combo, throwing out her Wave of Terror along with Shadow Fiend's passive, then you basically have no armor and you get blown up so quick. Against a Quap and a Lion, those two right off the bat don't have a ton of health, and it's just going to wear them down. So definitely a good ban on the side of Slam Dunk, and it'll be interesting to see what we end up with at the end. Clockwork is finally picked up for Irresistible Stallions, so good pickup there, as we've talked about before. So on the side of Stallions, they do have a ton of lockdown, a lot of stun, a lot of dominance, a little bit of map control here, coming with a hook shot for the initiation, as well as a swap. Like I said, if Earthshaker picks up that Blink, that's a lot of initiation that they do have. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of Slam Dunk wants to go for. If they do want to get a late game carry, or they want to go for more of a snowball lineup, Queen of Pain picking up, obviously, once she gets her Blink, she can kind of roam around the map. Most likely going to be heading mid. With that bottle going back and forth between the runes, if she picks up a good rune and goes straight for one of the lanes for sort of a quick gank and then jump back, even before she hits her 6, if she has a good lane, she can do that. She can jump in, coming in with a haste rune, a double damage rune, and that's a quick first blood, quick secure the kills. So it'll really be interesting to see what kind of lineup that they go for here, whether if they want to go for that lane game. They've banned out decent carries as it is so far, but there's still lots to be picked up. Anti-Mage being picked up a lot lately as well. So is the Medusa we've seen in a lot of amateur matches, so it'll be interesting to see for sure. Rubik actually coming out for the side of Slam Dunk, so lots to steal from here, obviously, with the Fissure, the Magic Missile. Hookshot would be great to get for the Clockwork because they don't have a ton of initiation quite yet unless that line does come online with that Blink Dagger for their spike setup. Like I said, ton of initiation going back and forth here. A lot of disable coming out from both teams now, and neither one of them with a lot of real carry dominance. Obviously, this Vengeful Spirit is most likely going to be a support, probably in the P5, and they just don't have any late game on either side. So you're probably going to be expecting quite a match here with the early dominance in whatever lanes that they get to here. Probably expecting a lot of ganks coming out for them unless they do finally go for that late game hero at the end here. It'll be interesting to see. We don't see PA picked up a lot anymore. Obviously, people have just kind of taken control of hurl evasion and understand that they need to just go for that Monkey King bar, get it out quick, and be able to just dominate her, obviously, and she just can't control it unless she gets a BKB out early, but that's besides the point. It's not something that you really see a lot picked anymore in any of the pro matches. So TA actually being picked up for Stallions, so that is their damage coming out now, and most likely their mid. TA we haven't seen a ton picked up as of late, but for Team Irresistible Stallions, they are lacking that damage, so TA pick is very acceptable on their point, where they're going to need to have somebody able to come and gank these lanes. They have so much setup for the stun, but just not a lot of damage coming out after. So having that little bit of extra damage with their side blades, obviously, and just being able to tank up a little bit of extra damage from this Quap. The dagger obviously will do quite a bit to her spell shield, but that being said, it's still great to have, especially against a Rubik trying to spam it, trying to get it out. He just doesn't have the attack as other supports would have to kind of delay that and get off her refraction. It definitely is a great pickup. There's lots of counter to it, unfortunately, though. With that TA going hard, most likely for a lot of damage here, it'd be interesting to see if she does pick up a Desolator, if she wants to go for that Blink Dagger initiation as well, because they are just piling on top of initiation for the chance of TA, obviously, like I said, picking up that Blink Dagger. But right off the bat, she doesn't really need to. With so much initiation coming out from her supports, as well as the Clockwork, which is one of the better initiation heroes there is, if they does line up the hookshot. That's what they need, is the damage coming in, so I would predict that she would kind of go for the Manta style for the Desolator if she wanted to, maybe tank up. I haven't seen a Scotty build from a Templar in a long time, but a lot of people tend to go for the Scotty build anymore for a lot of the heroes, a lot of carries, because it does offer a lot of that tank, as well as a great right-click tool. Viper coming out for the side of Team Slam Dunk, so there is the real damage coming out for the right-click, and definitely a great pickup. Viper is just a great lane dominator right off the bat, and it's interesting to see that pickup because all the initiation coming out from Irresistible Stallions, right out the bat, with his Nether Toxin, they just won't be able to control it so much, and he'll just wear down Vengeful Spirit and the Earth Shaker right out the bat, and just throwing on a casual Poison Sting here and there, whatever lane he wants to dominate. This could most likely be an off-lane Viper, running on the side of, most likely on Vavel, who is our usual off-laner. And that will just be really destructive, especially against if they want to tri-lane this and maybe run the Venge into the jungle. Maybe she'll get the Tranquil boots. It'll be really interesting to see. Coming out for the end there, Slark is actually banned out for Slam Dunk, so you won't see any more gank potential coming out from them, as they do need more of a solid damage dealer coming out. Viper is good himself, so is the Co-op, but they're lacking a little bit coming out, especially Viper himself isn't the greatest until he gets that mech. He can be shut down if they look to go for the ganks. And Phoenix actually being banned out, so Teamfight is already pretty much... there's nothing lacking for it on the side of Irresistible Stallions, and Slam Dunk doesn't have a ton of team fights, so banning out that Phoenix to lay the egg in the background is definitely a good ban out by them. Jug's actually being picked up for Irresistible Stallions, and that's their right clicker right there. They're safe lane carry most likely, and you know, a Jugs can take over a game, whether it is a pub game, whether it is a pro amateur match, he can dominate. As soon as he gets a little bit of farm, he can really do whatever he wants for whatever item build he chooses. He can go for the eggs, he can go for a Manta style. Really, the world's his oyster. He can get whatever kind of matchup and still deal a ton of damage. As soon as he hits his 6 and gets the Omni Slash, you just have to watch out for it. You cannot be solo. You cannot sit around, especially in the early stages, unless you've got another person in your lane. And Darkseer actually being picked up for Team Slam Dunk. Interesting lanes here, so it definitely could be a safe lane Viper farming here. It could be a 2-1-2, which we don't see a lot of anymore. A lot of people are taking control of the tri lane, wanting to dominate, to get their carry, a hard lane, a really easy safe lane presence to be able to push down tower, get a little bit more carry on them, get the items, get the gold and the experience, and just basically turn it out real well. So on the side here, we have TSD starting with Vavel on Viper. We have Be Happy on the Rupik. We have Less is More on the Darkseer going off lane. Undertaker on the Quap, most likely going mid, and JFX on the support line. Down on bottom on the side of Irresistible Stallions, we have Ice9 on the Juggernaut, Party Bear on the Earthshaker, Faith on the Vengeful Spirit. Going mid, we have G on the TA, and off lane, we have Ace on the Clockwork. So definitely interesting lineups here right out the gate. It's really hard to decide what kind of lane that TSD is going to go for here, but like I said, it could be a safe lane farming Viper for all we know. Right out the gate, we see a little blockage of the pull camp here on the side of Ace running into the jungle. Don't think much is going to get done here. We'll probably won't see a first blood right out the gate. Both teams are kind of staying pretty cozy, easy in back here, just placing a few wards, getting a little bit of vision. But it's most likely just going to be a trade for Undertaker taking this top rune, and we'll see who takes the bottom here. It might just be G picking up that rune to kind of get the dominance on mid right out the gate. But in this tri lane, it's good to get Jugs that early farm. So if he does actually pick up this rune, it's not a bad thing either. Either way, it will be safe. As I said before, Clockwork not going to obviously go in against that. And Quap easily picking up that rune. And down on bottom, it is the TA actually picking that as well. So definitely going to be good, really interesting lanes here with a lot of initiation, as I said before, with the stuns coming out on the side of Stallion. And top, we do see the Viper actually in that tri lane with the Rubik and the Lion. So lots of disable, lots of team fight ability. Clock obviously has the cogs coming out if he needs to stay safe. He actually has used it to block up the creep camp, so won't have things too pushed in here. Missed a little creep, but that'll be okay for him. He will hopefully be able to push it back to tower, and he has actually put the ward in the pull camp here, so he should be okay. Down on bottom, it's going to be an easy lane to kind of safe farm for this Juggernauts. Darkseer obviously will kind of tick him off with this bubble, pushing him back, pushing the wave back, but he's not going to be able to get in there and do a lot for XP. He's just going to have to sit back and kind of take whatever farm he gets. And obviously Venge and Earthshaker, they can stack camps if they want, depending on if this Jugs wants to go a Battle Fury route. Really interesting to see here. So right out the gate, we do see Quap actually controlling the middle lane against this TA. Viper doing quite well up on top, and I think TA will actually be okay in this lane. Obviously with the dagger throwing on that refraction, it will be a little annoying for her, like I said before in the draft, but she should do okay. She will eventually start to dominate once she does pick up a little bit more damage here, depending on what item she goes. We do see the bottle already coming out, so she might actually go Aquila and just be able to push lanes out, and Quap can't really do too much against it. She does have the natural escape and everything, so she'll be okay. She'll be able to farm quite a bit in the early game, but later on I think it's probably just best for her to go and gank other lanes, because like I said, they have so much initiation down here on bottom with all these stuns, as well as the Blade Fury coming out. It should be an easy kill against this Darkseer. However, he's pretty much rotated out of lane. He just does not want to be there anymore, just kind of hanging out. He's already taken a ton of damage, and he's going to play it pretty easy and safe here. Haste Rune actually coming out as one of the runes coming to this TA. She might actually want to go pick that up on bottom before this Quap does. She still hasn't got her bottle, but she's sitting at 12 CS, doing quite well for herself. Interesting to see if she goes for an eggs early on and wants to still continue with that team fight, or if she wants to kind of tank up. I have seen the Scotty built on her quite a bit as of late as well. She might go for the Lincolns. The only thing really great to block it is the Viper, and obviously the sorry, not the Viper, the Clockwork and the Venge. Earthshaker's still going to take her down. He has so many normal stuns coming up from him that it's just not worth it. So you might just see her tank up a little bit more instead of actually going for that Lincolns. It is good for the regen, obviously, but it's probably best for her just to kind of tank up and get some real damage dealing with her ult. Down on bottom here, obviously Darkseer is going to have a little bit of a rough time. Just kind of doing some harass to Party Bear, doing quite well. He's just stacking camps, having a great time down on bottom. Does have that little sentry ward, so might go on a D ward fest here, just running around. Has actually picked up that early smoke, so you could see a gank to mid come out real quick before this TA does start to kind of take off and secure more farm later. And Clockwork is actually being pinched here by the Lion and the Rubik, and we actually see a stun coming out. This could be first blood. They try to chase him down, turn him into a little bit of a fish, and the Rubik throws him back. He pops off the cogs to try and live, but Vavel does get off the first blood on the Viper there, so huge rotation coming in from the Rubik and the Lion, swinging down in the river, and definitely a good secure on this Clockwork, because he was starting to get quite a bit of XP and starting to play it a little dangerous, but does actually get taken down for his efforts, and definitely a good secure. Viper actually hitting the top of the charts here for last hits, and he's just going to continue to get bigger, and it'll be interesting to see if he wants to go for that early mech right out the gate, or if he will himself go for a damage. Perhaps it could be a Silver Edge coming out later. No huge passives coming out for the side, except for this Venge with obviously the Aura, but that won't be blocked by the Silver Edge, so it'll be interesting to see. There's just so much potential for ganks, so much potential for team fights on either side. Really interesting to see what their builds will be. We do see a stun actually coming out on this Darkseer. Another Fissure laying down, blocks him out, and Darkseer's just going to go for the TP. Will he make it out? And he does. He is safe. Gets back on the TP just by the slim of his life, and no harm done in the end. Nothing else done in the lane, and Jugs is just going to continue to farm. Doesn't feel he needs to join up and try and go for that secure the kill, and just kind of wants to continue here and farm up hard. Has picked up a Bassi, and like I said, you might actually see an Ags being built quite right out the gate for him, and just continue to dominate in this lane. Quap is still actually taking quite a bit of control here, throwing down that sentry ward just in case TA does go into meld, so she will actually be able to continue with that team fight, or sorry, just the solo fight on mid. Interesting to see what TA is actually going to do. She wants to stack some of these camps perhaps, just to kind of get a little bit more farm out of this, because Quap is actually dominating this lane quite a bit. Sitting at 22 and 10 compared to the 16 and 5 for the TA, and she is second on net worth comparing with her Viper on top, who's had a ton of easy farm. Lion and Rubik actually rotating in. Toss goes off, and look for the Earth Spike here along with the Quap. She hasn't quite got down yet, and she might actually be okay. Dagger's still going, but Quap does go for the dive, and actually she's going to turn around and try and play it safe here. Rotations coming in from the Venge to save his best friend G on mid, and Clock Shot comes out. Nothing going to happen of it. So they're just going to rotate back, play it safe, but great gank coming out on the TA. Just couldn't get the job done, and she's able to live. That Refraction obviously doing a ton of points here. She's got 3 points in it and doing a ton of work. She'll be able to live through this mid lane for most of the time. They're going to have to probably secure a kill on her rather quick. Otherwise, she'll just dominate this lane and start to move elsewhere, just like the Quap should start doing right away here, and kind of go for these ganks. They have so much potential, as been saying time and time again, and she's just going to have to look for it right away. Top tower being pushed quite well by this Lonely Viper up top, and he's doing well for himself. 3k in the bank, and it looks like he is going to pick up the mech right away here, so will be a tanky Viper up against this Clockwork, and you're not going to see much more from this Clockwork, I think. He's going to start probably running around these lanes, sitting with the Tranquil Boots. Juggernaut actually picking up the kill on Darkseer down on bottom. Fissure obviously going out, trapping his friend Ice9, but that is a secured kill, and we do see a huge bug and glitch. Looks like Juggernaut's actually swimming around the map now. So that's a thing. Interesting. Alright then. Back on mid here, we see this TA pushing hard, getting her last hits up. Quap has thrown down a ton of sentries, but she is actually getting really low. She makes it safe, gets blinked behind the tower, and yeah, TA really starting to control this lane, as she does. Failed gank on mid before, and even with all these sentries around, she's feeling quite comfortable, just kind of throwing out some stasis traps, and she's going to continue to farm up. She's already built her phase boots, and Quap only with that null tally in the bottle, so definitely falling a little short on this. She has picked up her level 6 a little while ago, so she's got the Scream if she wants to go for it and get an early gank. She could actually blow it on the TA if Rubik does come in. That does do quite a bit of damage, but it's still so hard to kill her with that refraction up. Ice9 still just swimming away down here. Just kind of making it his home. Little pool in the bottom lane. Back on top here, obviously Viper is still doing quite well. Has finally delivered the mech to himself, And sitting here at 48 and 13, so just before the 10-minute mark, he's going to get well over that 50 last hit mark, and obviously that's an easy lane for him sitting on the range carry against this Clockwork. Just had such a rough time here. Clockwork obviously just sitting at
Tower is under attack.
sitting at level 6 here. He has picked up his hook shock, but barely any gold to his name, sitting at 13 last hits only. Just not having the greatest lane at all, but that's to be expected, especially with a Rubik and a Lion rotating in on him, and Viper just being able to harass him all the way out. And tons of damage going out on Undertaker and the side of G on mid, but better heads prevail, and they're just kind of playing it safe. Both want that farm early on, and there is actually a DD rune coming out on the side of Templar Assassin, so interesting to see what she uses that for what kind of work. She goes for this, looks to be a triple stack down here. That's going to be a ton of gold for her, and then she might actually carry on and want to move on. She's actually making it a quad stack. Does she actually get it? She does, so comes out with the Wild Wing Ripper, and that's going to be a huge camp and a lot of golden experience for her to pick up. She looks at to start this huge stack right away with the double damage rune. Should be to no ease. Back on bottom, they need to fix this glitch. I've seen it quite a bit. That fissure block just totally screwed him up, and this could be a funny game for the rest of it unless it gets fixed if he ever does go down. Does pick up the Morbid Mass, so gonna see a little bit of race car Juggernaut coming out with that Mask of Madness most likely, and yeah, he's gonna just kind of look to go snowball after that and kind of get the quick kills here. They might actually just start pushing tower now that Darkseer is completely rotated out of lane. He has started to take his inhabitants against the jungle here and still trying to aim for that soul ring. Getting quite close to it. Up on top, it looks like Rubik and Lion have actually rotated back in, so this could be definitely a ton of pressure coming out on the top T1, as well as the bottom T1 being pushed up by this Jugs and the Earthshaker. They're going to need to look for a trade for something. They need that gold. Viper doing quite well for them. They might as well get ahead of the curve, get ahead of this TA before she does start to ball out here. Earthshaker sitting on only level 3, does still have that smoke, so haven't seen any gank potential from him yet. Only getting 3 last hits, so he's going to be quite poor, and you're not going to see that Blink Dagger come on for maybe 20 minutes unless they start getting some kills here. Back on mid, not a lot going on. Just a lot of back and forth hustle here between the two mid players. Undertaker doing quite well for himself, now back up on 47, so not too behind this TA, even though she did get that huge quad stack on bottom, and she's going to look to stack it again here. And they're going to have to watch out for this. They're going to need to ward her up pretty soon, because she's sitting at 1,400 in the bank, and she could go for that early deso, and that's going to be a lot of damage, especially for the side of the supports here. We got that Rubik and the Lion that can be blown up so easily by that Desolator, and it's just hard for anybody to stay alive to a TA as soon as she gets a little bit of control and gets a little bit of farm. Joining the jungle is Ice9, and he's just going to pretty much be able to carry this all the way through if they don't kind of shut him down as well. They did need to kind of early gank him with that TA, as well as the Rubik and the Lion having so much potential for that, and they just didn't get it done. No real ganks coming out except for that TA, other than that Clockwork obviously up top, but that failed gank on TA, and they just haven't done anything since. So Rubik kind of just playing it safe here on mid. They are actually smoked up with the Lion, so this could be the time that they want to finally go in on her. No sentry wards on the side of mid anymore, so it would be most likely a failed gank for her to get out. I don't see any reveal coming up from these supports. One sentry ward on the Lion, that's it. And looks like they'll just be able to sneak out and dodge past Faith here. No smoke revealed, and neither see each other. They're actually going deep, 4-on-1 against Party Bear. Being thrown up in the air, misses the Earth Spike, but not needed anyway. Does go down to the Darkseer bubble, and yeah, good gank, good little quick kill for the Darkseer here, getting a little bit of extra gold. And he's been zoned out of lane quite a bit after the rotation in the jungle. It's exactly what he needed. And they're probably going to look to push this down on bottom. They're going to start to control lanes a little bit more, and it's exactly what they need. They need that map dominance for this TA before she starts getting around the map. Earthshaker actually picking up a soul ring first, so he wants that mana to be able to do anything against in a gank, or just kind of chill out in his lane just as a defensive. We have a lot of rotation coming out from bottom here. Looks like all 4 have rotated in, and in the meantime, TA just kind of taking part of that jungle, while Jugs just plays it easy and gets whatever he can for experience here. But little do they know that there's 3 right in front of him as well. Rubik and Lion rotating in, but it looks like they're actually going to get out. No harm done, and they're just going to maybe ward around the map here. Still has that sentry ward, so a lot of disengage from both teams coming out. No real huge ganks as much as I expected right out the gates from that draft. A lot of gank potential, just nothing really coming out. And Ace sneaking right past this Undertaker. And he'll be fine. Huge stack coming out on the side of G again. He's going to blow this one right up. Jug's doing the same thing, farming up the jungle camps. And they don't really have any vision of this. They have this one lowly ward for the Dire, and it's not giving them a ton of vision. It's only giving them a little bit of river vision, but they have no idea what's actually going on behind the enemy lines here. A lot of farm being done, and on the side of net worth here, we have Viper still in the lead at 6k, but TA sneaking up quite close behind him, just about 300 just below. Stallion doing quite well for the farm, obviously with those huge stacks of the camps, and their gold is a little bit ahead of TSD, but it's going to be a real tough game for them to come back on if this TA starts to farm even more jungle camps and gets whatever key items she needs. Currently, right now, she does finally pick up that Blink Dagger, so she is going to want to go for more of that initiation, and they already have a ton of it. Like I said before, with that Clockwork, as well as the Fissure, if Earthshaker eventually ever gets his Blink Dagger, it will be definitely tough to disengage or re-engage for TSD, but it's hard to always say. Team fights always go... It's always a crazy team fight for these kind of lineups with a ton of stuns coming out. There's so much back and forth between the two, and Jug's actually jumping in with his ult right out the gate. Ice 9 being harassed down. Fissure goes out from Party Bear. Less is more being hookshot in. Actually throws the Earth Spike down. Viper wanting to chase Ace down a little bit. Healing Ward does go out from the Juggernaut, and he should be okay. Lots of TBs coming in. All rotation from the team on the side of Stallion on bottom, and I think TSD is just going to disengage with that one loss of Rubik here. Going to throw in the Ion Shell just to keep things pushed, and yeah, nice little pickup for the Juggernaut. Ends up not going down, and it's a little bit more gold for him. He does actually have that Blade of Alacrity coming out, so that could be an early Yasha built into a Manta style. It's most likely not going to be the Aghanim Scepter picked out right out the bat. Most people tend to go for the point booster, so interesting to see for sure, getting that early Yasha. He is definitely going for that race car Juggernaut, which is always fun to see. Most people have ended up playing Juggernaut, have played that race car build, and once you get online, it is really tough to stop you. You can just keep chasing down heroes, and with that crit, you're just doing so much damage. Lots of rotations coming out here on mid, and I mean, what do you do here if you're TSD? You kind of sit back, and you've been waiting a little bit, and eventually you start to group up and want to go for that gank and just get really destroyed on this Rubik on Be Happy here by that Omni Slash so quick. He's just still really squishy, sitting at only 701 hit points, and they do actually throw down the sentry. They are going to go on this TA. Refraction almost done, and they're going to go hard on her. Lion still doesn't have a 6, but they do throw out the Scream from Quap, and it looks like TA will be safe. Healing Ward coming out for her, and she's going to bottle up, and yeah, she'll be okay. So a lot expended there, going for another gank, throwing down the Sentry Ward, and still nothing happening for them. So with all this early teamfight potential on the side of TSD as well, with the quick stuns and disable from their two supports, as well as a lot of good magical damage coming up from Quap, and they just can't get it done. Now finally their wards are coming down in the enemy jungle. They're wondering how could Stallion be so farmed so quick, and they just didn't see it. They didn't see the huge camps being stacked here, as well as the hard camp in the interior jungle, and just huge stacks for this TA. And now they understand. They need to get things wards down and get some good map control. And for them to push this bottom tower, they need this whole jungle warded. Otherwise, that whole team's just going to rotate in on them. Darkseer diving pretty deep under this tower, wanting to get that creep wave, and he'll be fine. As long as this TA does have this Blink Dagger, though, she's going to jump in. She does throw down the meld. Ton of damage coming out. Wave of Terror coming out from the Vengeful Spirit. She throws down the stun. So does the Earth Spike come down. And I think that might be the only kill, just with the Darkseer going down so quick with that minus armor from the Wave of Terror just right at the end, as well as the meld damage from that crit. And just gets blown up. And she looks to go for more, going deep for this Rubik. And she picks up the crit on him. And that's a lot of damage coming out from this TA right out the gate. Just with the Blade of Alacrity and the Phase Boots, she just has so much presence, almost hitting level 12. And really the next person up next to her is just the Quap and the Viper, and they're just nowhere to be found here on any of the ganks except for the one going on mid. The Viper's just been basically farming this whole time. He does have the mech. He's finally finished the Aquila. Looks like he might be going for the Ogre Club for either Ags or the BKB. There's a lot coming out from both teams, as I said before, a ton of stuns, so BKB would definitely be a good idea for Vavel. However, they're going to start lacking damage a little bit here. As much as Viper is a great right clicker and they have a ton of damage coming from Quap, it still hasn't killed TA yet, and it surely won't kill the rest of their team if they expend it all on one. There'll be so many stuns coming out from the side of Stallion, it'll be a real difficult team fight, or a gank coming out from the side of TSD. So Viper's could definitely have to probably go for that Ags to get a little bit more damage. Even with the ticks off his Ags, TA still blocks so much of his damage. And right now, TA is going to push mid and go for this T1 tower and get even more map control. Juggernaut killing Darkseer again down on bottom, and Lion just going to escape with his life. And they're just running a little scared here. They're trying to keep lanes pushed, trying to do what they can. They still haven't really had a great successful gank, except for the one early in the first couple of minutes on top. So TSD, not a little confusing here for what they want to go for. They just don't know what to do without any map control right out the gate. They still haven't really picked up any towers except for the T1 top. And like I said, Viper's just been farming, so they've been 4 on 5 from basically most of this match. But they do look to finally bring this Viper in, and 3 rotating on bottom, plus the Rubik, and this could be a T1 tower finally is what they need. They need that little bit extra gold. They have been lacking, and Darkseer coming in the back just to kind of get a little vision. And Party Bear actually ends up pulling the lane, throws up the fissure, and he just wants to get out. He realizes how many are there, and actually gets turned into a fish. Spike goes out, and Lion does pick up the last hit kill on the Earthshaker, and that should definitely be a T1 tower for them. Going mid, a lot of damage coming out from this TA, and Venge actually has picked up her aura finally, so she's just starting to ball out of control if those two rotate together. Like I said, bottom T1 going down, so a little bit of gold swing on the side of Stallion going the way of TSD, and this is exactly what they need. T1 actually going down on top too, so right back at it for Stallion. Looking at net worth here, Viper still sitting comfortably at 8,500, with TA just closely right behind, and Jug's actually starting to pull it up too. So even with the Viper doing so well, it's a lot of carry coming out from the side of Stallion, and there's definitely going to be some sort of response coming out from TSD, because they'll start to push your towers. Lion with a couple wards, playing it pretty deep by himself, looking for a little extra mana. JFX just kind of sneaking around a little bit. Has finally picked up his 6, so look for that Finger of Death coming out. Lots of teamfight coming out on mid. Fisher being thrown down, stun going off. Tia actually picking up the kill on the Darkseer. She just looks to TP out with a Viper throwing down his ult on her. Earthspike going out, as well as the Finger. Quap comes in to finish it, and it's actually Viper that does pick up the kill on the Earthshaker. So a 1-for-1 trade here. Darkseer for the Earthshaker. Definitely a good pickup for the Darkseer going down for Stallion. A lot of gold. Sitting a little bit more comfortably ahead of that Earthshaker, but not a ton more. Both have been pretty quiet in this game. Darkseer obviously sitting pretty behind on that off lane. Just couldn't get much done, throwing out the bubbles and basically running away, except for that tower down on bottom. Quap does actually pick up that Axe, so definitely an interesting pickup for her. They do need that damage, as I've been saying before, so great pickup for her. TA does finish off that Yasha. She's got 2,200 in the bank. Interesting to see if she actually wants to finish that Manta style right out the gate, or if she does want to go for a little bit more damage. She's going to be hustling around that map with the Blink Dagger and the Yasha. Just so much map control. Just with the TA running around. If she really wants, she can just sit by and meld and wait for somebody to kind of pounce on top of her, and she'll just pounce right back, take control of whoever's going up against her. Interesting. It'll only be really the Quap that can get away from her with that Blink. Especially if she wants to build some sort of control and survivability with the BKB. Clock just throwing off a fireworks show here. His flare going all over the place, getting a little bit of more map control. And he looks to invade the jungle as well, getting a little bit more farm on top of him. He hasn't done much this whole game, but comfortably sitting with a blade mail, and he's starting to build out eggs. So has gotten a lot more than I thought he would, sitting on that top lane for so long against that Viper. Actually picking up a few items here, so with this, it will be back and forth with a little bit of team fight on either side. And really, this whole game has been a lot of back and forth. Not a lot of kills, sitting at 6 and 4 for Team Stallion. And honestly, it's more been just a farming game for these two mid players as well as their carries. It's been pretty quiet. Manta Style actually finished out on the TA, so she is definitely going to go for a lot of push here. interesting to see if she does go for the rat build and does finally pick up that Deso, and you might actually not even see her in team fights at all. She might just go in for a quick gank, make it a 4v5 or make it a 3v5, and then just start to take towers real quick. A lot of grouping up coming down on bottom here, and I feel as though they need to rotate somewhere else. Like, they've been farming so much on this Viper. He does finally pick up a BKB, so that will be a little bit more survivability for him. However, they haven't gotten anything done with it. They haven't really initiated many team fights, and just the lonely farm on the Viper leaves your supports. It's really cost inefficient for them. Rubik not really getting anything, does have an arcane boots, and that's it. And Lion just sitting at so poor, saving for that blink dagger most likely, so they will have a little bit more initiation, but both of them just trying to ward the map, trying to keep it done, and just not able to get as much as they'd hoped for in this kind of disabled little lineup here. Rotating in, we do see Ace and Faith still invading the jungle. Clockwork going hard, and he's going to get spotted out. Smoke revealed, and all coming out from Vavel, thrown up in the air by the Rubik, and Finger of Death coming out from JFX, and they do get the kill on Viper for Ace on that Clockwork. So Viper on a killing spree now, and that's exactly what they need to pick up. A little bit of gold change for the Vavel, and this is really what they need to do. They need to get these little quick pickoffs and just start taking a little bit more farm and then pushing lanes. They can't just sit back and farm all day, because eventually that Jugs will just take control of the game, as well as the TA. And they actually look to go in the Rosh pit here with this Clockwork down. So knowing that there's no hook shot, no cogs to kind of break up their lineup, they go straight for the throat here. Want to picking up Rosh, get that Aegis online, and maybe then they'll actually start to pick up towers. TA playing it pretty dangerous, going in, throws down the stasis trap, so they do know what's going on the side of TSD. But they should get this Rosh pretty comfortable. Mech going out on the Viper, and even though it's taking a little bit of time, I don't think Stallions actually going to want to jump in here. Clock does throw out the Rocket Flare, but they actually might look to engage this. Rush still not done. Wave of Terror going out, and this could be... He actually expends the wall. And G just going hard on the Earthshaker. Oh, but Earthshaker comes in with the Echo Slam. 2 down on the side of TSD. Venge the only one going down. And Viper going hard on this Clockwork. Throws out the Blade Mail, so little damage done. And Quap going down really quick. Jugs throws out the ult and is finished by the meld damage on the side of TA. And they might look to just chase down this Viper running at no mana. And this could be a full team wipe on TSD. G just going real hard on Vavel, and why not? She's just doing so much work and taking little to no damage. Party Bear sitting really low, but throws out the Fissure and secures that kill, gets the mega kill streak off the Viper, and they take this T1 tower, and they might actually go to finish this Rosh here. In fact, TA does. She blinks in the Rosh pit, and this should be a free Rosh for them after that. Rosh actually going down to Stallion, and TA picking up that Blink Dagger, so great pickup, or Blink Dagger, sorry, Aegis, and with the Blink Dagger she'll be able to just kind of dive in. If she needs to expend that Aegis to pick up a tower or just keep going for the ganks, she can do whatever she wants. They just have not brought her down yet. She's sitting at 5-0-2, well ahead of the leaderboard here, sitting at 13k in net worth, 2k ahead of this Viper now after all these exchanges, and she's doing quite well for herself. If she wants to pick up more damage, whatever have you, like, she's balling out of control now, and they just didn't stop her. She does pick up that Desolator, so a lot of damage coming out from the side of her, and has actually used that DD rune. Jug's doing well for himself too, does actually pick up a Silver Edge on the Jug, so it... without a doubt, a race car build, for sure. And Clock actually hookshotting in, and securing that kill on the Rubik. Vengeful Spirit actually picking that up. Wall coming out from Less is More. Quap throwing out the Scream as well. And I think Stallion just better get back on this one. They don't need to go any farther than they have. Healing Ward coming out from the Juggernaut. And even though they do a ton of damage, they should probably just keep it back here. And Quap actually jumping right back in. She hasn't even picked up her Deso yet. Had she had her Deso, I think that would have been a dead Quap for sure. And they're just so scared right now. TSD just kind of playing it back. They expended the wall, expended the Scream, and just, you know, can't get it done. Can't get the damage dealt on any of these carries especially. Juggernaut doing quite well for himself too. He hasn't even gone down either, sitting at 3-0-2. Ton of farm coming out from him, sitting second in net worth. 1600 in the bank. might actually just finish that Manta style along with TA, and they're just going to have a ton of push as well. Down on bottom, Ace is just going to start to continue to push this lane. Does pick up the Staff of Wizardry, so he is getting even closer to his Aghanim Scepter. That's even more initiation for him. And it's really hard to see what's going to go on with this. I mean, sitting at a 14k net lead for the XP, and the gold just way out of control here, starting to go well over on 8,000. And TSD with no real response. They're just kind of playing super defensive, and it's going to be an interesting lineup here to match up against the Stallion team. TA finally getting her Desolator coming out, and she just looks to farm more camps. She's almost 4-slotted here, sitting at 1,200. Interesting to see what her next item goes. BKB coming out on the Quap. So along with that Aghanim Scepter getting that damage, now she does have her survivability. So it's great and all. Obviously going to block the stuns, but she can still be blown up by this TA rather quick. Especially if she blinks just before the Quap comes in. Quap can jump on her before she even has her blink off a cooldown. And I mean she's building right. She needs to have that BKB for survivability. She might have to go for that Scotty too. And she's building all the right things, but it's almost a little too late here. Just running a little bit behind the whole team of Stallion. They've had way better rotations. They've kind of figured out their lanes real quick, even with Clock not getting so much. But Jug's obviously having such a great time farming on the safe lane. And that TA finally, once she got her damage, like I said, did start to take control of mid. And those stacks that she made for herself, as well as the Venge, really brought her online. And both teams are just kind of playing it safe here, just grouping up, looking for a little bit more farm. And Rubik and Lion just kind of hang out in the trees close to mid lane here. There's a smoke on Venge, so they might actually rotate in on them if they do get any vision of them. This Observer Ward doing quite a bit of work for them. They do see them walking back and forth here, so they know some sort of gank is going to come out, and they all just look to kind of play it safe. We still have Jugs farming in the Dire jungle. Both supports playing it easy and safe back on mid, and Clock just really doing all the work that he wants to. Viper wanting to rotate in on him here, and so is the Quap. Both throwing out their huge ults. Blade Mill going out, so a ton of damage coming out, but he still does go down to the Viper. And Viper actually might get initiated back on here. Fisher going out, but I think they will just look to get right back out. Rubik coming in with a haste rune, so any sort of initiation coming from the back, Rubik should be able to keep him safe, and Quap's just going to TP out as well. So they do finally get a quick pick off here on against the offlaner on the side of Clock here, and time and time again, it's what they need to do, but then they haven't really capitalized off of it after that. They're sitting at a 5v4, and they really need to take some lane dominance here. They have taken all the outer T1 towers, but that's just not enough. TA is doing so much for the farm, and she just comes right in and blows up JFX. And with a little bit of vision from that stasis trap, just goes down so quick to all her damage from the Desolator and the Meld. It's just too much for the supports to handle right now. Jugs being spotted out on top, so do you see a rotation coming in from Vavel, as well as the Rubik, and most likely the Quap coming in too, but Jugs does finally pick up his Manta style, and he does have the Silver Edge, so if he needs to get out, there hasn't been a ton of reveal all game, just no real look for the Silver Edge, so I mean, Rubik does have the sentry wards, but with this race car build, Jug can get out so quick, and should be able to Blade Fury out and TP if he has to. Looking at our last hits here, Jug's just taking control of this whole game, sitting at 240 last hits, and like I said before, just a ton of farm coming out for the side of Stallion. And they gave him the lane that they needed to, with the Venge and the Earthshaker down on bottom. And there's not a lot they could really do, to be honest. I mean, Dark's here, you're just not going to have a fun day with him. Sure, he can toss the bubble and get a little farm for himself, and if he needs to surge himself up and kind of run around the map, he can do that. But it's just so much stun coming up from them that he had to play it safe, and he did exactly what he needed to do. But in the end, Jug's just getting a ton of safe lane farm. Venge picking up the medallion, so definitely an interesting build on the Venge. I love this one myself, and Dire's Courier actually being sniped out there. So that's going to be even more gold to the side of Stallion. with this Venge and the Wave of Terror and the Medallion of Courage, there's so much minus armor. And with that Deso as well, Quap actually blinking in. And then with this Desolator, just no armor at all. TA going wicked sick on G. And she's just balling out of control. Throwing it down on the mid here against Undertaker. And Undertaker sitting at 0-2 and 4. Just can't really control this TA anymore. She's gone out of control. And Lion actually spots out the Jugs on Ice 9. And he's going to look to go hard. Actually gets the Earth Spike off on the TA instead. Wall going out, misses on all, and Jugs going hard, throws down the ult on 2. 4 actually going down, Viper's the only one left, and they're just going to look to take this T2 mid, and yeah, they're just getting out of control. Clock finally finishing his Agnum Scepter, everybody blown up, only buybacks on the Queen of Pain as well as the Darkseer, and I don't think they're any bother to use them. They're going to start to push this mid lane. Rosh still not quite up yet, a little bit more on the timer, a couple more minutes, so indeed, they're just going to take this mid lane with all the minus armor coming off the Deso as well. It should be a quick tower for them, and that's just going to be a ton more map control. Venge picking up the Shadow Amulet, so she will look to go for that cape.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Jugs picking up a Skull Basher, so a little bit more lockdown for the side of Stallion. A couple more stuns coming out from him. A little bit of damage as well, and you know, he hasn't had a ton of damage coming out from his items. It's really just been all about the race car build, so good to see that coming out. And Hookshot actually going off deep on this Queen of Pain. Clockwork, where are you going, buddy? Throws out the Earth Spike, and this is going to be a dead Clockwork. Tosses out the Blade Mail just for a little extra measure. Gets a ton of damage on that Viper, but spends his life instead. A little bit of a deep hook shot by that Clockwork. Interesting play indeed. They are really far ahead, but don't think that was quite needed. However, the only other Clockwork going down, and Stallion just going to play it safe and head back here. Force Staff completed on the Earthshaker as well as the Blink Dagger, so he's starting to come online too. He's got his initiation. That's really all you need on the Earthshaker. You just want to be able to jump in there and kind of throw down your stuns to help out the team fight. So exactly what he needs online as well. Quab still sitting on this BKB and the Agnum Scepter. With the Dire Courier down, I don't think anything was really just be happy with that, just getting levels. Sitting at almost 500 net worth here, and there's no way he can get in against that. He's going to be blown up. Sure, he has the charge, but I mean, if you throw out one silence from the Drow, he's going to get blown up. So it's good for him to stay back, and that's really all he can do. Looking mid here, we do see Vengeful Spirit actually rotating in again. She doesn't even have boots yet, so it's not going to be the best of ganks for her to be able to jump in on the Shadow Fiend, and he's just going to keep Shadow Rays and keep farming his way up. And Quap actually picking up this Invis rune. I think Vavel knows something's up. He's going to play it safe. He probably saw her activate that one. Hawk coming in from the side too, getting all the vision in the world, so both mids are playing it safe. And Spirit Breaker actually being gone on here by the Grave Chill by Party Bear, and he's just going to look to go back on him. A little bit of posturing, a little bit of back and forth, a couple of right clicks, and no real harm done. G's still sitting around with this Invis rune, and spots up JFX with a haste rune. Throws down the ward, so... And actually uses the ult. First blood going to G. Expends everything on that line looking for the D ward, and just didn't expect her to come out at all. I mean, Shadow Fiend did... I'm sure that he saw her come in with that Invis rune, so Lion just going for the sneaky D ward, but they saw everything out of it, so either way, that's first blood to the Quap on the side of Stallion, and G looking pretty good here, getting a little bit extra gold from that, gets her boots, and Shadow Fiend's going to start stacking camps here. Looks to already be, geez, that's already a triple stack, so does he get the quad? No, I misses the quad stack, but even still, that's a triple stack for him. Unlucky with the golems. Will take a little bit longer, but Drow taking that tower top, and she's actually quite low, sitting under half health, and she's just going to silence and get back. Be happy. I mean, pushes the Drow back a little bit, loses his tower here, but there's nothing more you can do. Sitting at level 4, you should probably just mana up and maybe charge around the map, get some other kills elsewhere.
Denied.
Beastmaster picking up the Soul Ring on bottom here. And, I mean, it's a good pickup for him, because he's just going to want to start clearing this Ancient stack, as he already has. Looks to be just a... Oh, it's a triple stack, so... Definitely going to get a lot of golden XP off of that. Almost has hit his level 6. And Tinker doing well for himself as well. Hitting level 7, has finished his boost of travel. And, yeah, I mean... Tinker's doing fine now. And less is more is just going to sit comfortable on bottom. He might actually just kind of take control of this lane and start to farm it, because Tinker's just going to start rotating around the map. He has already rotated back to Fountain, going to mana up, and then probably just come back out. They might start pushing out top. They might just go back to bottom. Really, he can do whatever he wants right now at this point. They just don't have the capability to stop Undertaker if he's already got his boost of travel online, sub 10 minutes. And yeah, the Safeling farming Tinker, good idea for him. He's loving the farm for sure, but we'll see if it proves worth it. If this, I mean, they do have the Shadow Fiend mid, and it's exactly where he should be, getting all the levels and sitting at 36 souls, so maxed out there. And eventually, we'll pick up his ult. And interesting to see what kind of damage he goes for here. Courier flying in. Wonder what he's picking up on the courier here. He's just gonna finish off his treads. And Spiritbreaker actually charging in here. Going hard on this Quap, but she's pretty high up, and Venge actually just throws out the nice little stun. Stops Be Happy in his tracks, and he just looks to get back. Lots of TPs coming out. Full team coming out from the side of Stallion. And, I mean, with nothing really getting done here, they might just look to push the whole tower completely. And they can do that. Visage, not quite 6 yet. Doesn't have his birds, but they do have a ton of vision coming out from this Beastmaster, so this should be a quick T1 tower for them. And I mean, down on bottom, Tinker can rotate in if he wants to, but I think it's better that he just farm it up. And actually, all of them are TPing in behind enemy lines here, and no, they're just gonna pick off the tower. Drow picking up the extra gold for that one, and I think their plan is just to get out. Spiritbreaker's actually charging in hard on Drow Ranger, but yeah, he's gonna have to cancel that one. They're pretty much all gonna get out. Casual Mask being picked up by Ace, so you might see the Mask of Madness coming out from him as well. We do see a couple stacks of camps here on the side of the Radiant. So TSD looking to farm up, and actually Ace is going to pick this out real quick for him. And yeah, the jungle's actually being dominated by both teams here. On the side of TSD, they just look to take their interior camps, whereas the actual real stack, that triple stack up there, being taken down real quick by Ace. And both teams didn't really know what's going on there between both of them. Didn't know how close they were. And no real fight breaking out. Tinker's still sitting down on bottom, just kind of throwing out March of the Machines, throws out his homing missile. Doesn't know that actually 2 is rotated in here. They don't have any wards up here, so 3 rotating in on Tinker, and I mean, Beastmaster might actually just use his call. And he does, expends the call, and Tinker trying to TP out, finished down by the Queen of Pain, throws out the Scream, and that's a double kill by Quap.
Dire's structures are
So a little bit of gold exchange there. Tinker really didn't see them coming in, and that's basically a free kill at that point. There's no way he's gonna get away from that one after the stun goes out from the call of Beastmaster, and they might just look to push this tower. Shadow Fiend taking down the mid tower here, and quite easily at that.